What is going on? And welcome back to another episode of I Coach Nutrition Radio. Today's topic we're going to be diving in for the podcast here is eating out, right? The conversations around restaurants and eating out, how to navigate restaurants and eat healthy if that is what you want to do. So I'm going to kind of give y'all some strategies here, some tactics that can help you if that is your goal, right? As I always say, it's not hard to eat healthy when you go out to eat. It is hard to make the healthy decision when you go out to eat, right? And what I mean by that is that pretty much every single restaurant that you go to anywhere in the world, you can eat healthy if you want, right? But what's hard is making the healthy decision, especially when you have the power of influence. You're around other people, friends, family, coworkers, whatever, and they're not eating healthy, right? And you've got these appetizers coming on your table here. You've got people making decisions that sound really, really good, right? Like if everybody's over here ordering burgers and pizza and this and that, and it's like, I don't want to order like a chicken salad here, right? So it is challenging to eat healthy, when you go out to eat, especially just because of the influence of people, right? I mean, if everybody around you was eating healthy, it would make it a lot easier for you to eat healthy. But the reality of it is we are at a 50% obesity rate in America, and most people are not eating healthy when they go out to eat, right? So it's probably going to be that scenario for you where, you're almost going to be like an outcast if you make a healthy decision when you go out to eat, when you're with people. But again, at the end of the day, you've got to prioritize you and your goals and what's important to you. And that's what we do, right? We prioritize the things that are important to us. So this is going to be kind of the strategy as to how to navigate eating out if you want to eat healthy. All right. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look ahead of time, right? As soon as you figure out where you're going, right, you can simply just do a Google search there, find the restaurant, look at the menu before you ever even get to the restaurant. That's one of the best strategies that you possibly can do because it puts you into proactive mode, right? It gets you out of reactive mode. The likelihood of you making a healthy decision if you go into the restaurant already having a plan as to what you're going to get versus if you're sitting there at the table, being social and just like, trying to be engaged with the people that you're with in conversation, you're going to be in reactive mode at that point. You're probably just going to get something that somebody else is getting, or you're going to get something that you normally would get. Right. But if you can be proactive in your approach and you can plan right before you get there the night before, now you have a game plan going into the restaurant. Right. And you're going to be much more likely to eat healthy if you do that. All right. And so when you are looking ahead, or if you don't look ahead and you are in that reactive mode, what you're ultimately want to do is you're going to find kind of the entree section of the menu. Right. I could do this at a Mexican restaurant, I could do this at American, I could do this at Asian, I could do this literally at any restaurant, right? But find kind of the entree section there. And typically with entree section, you're going to be able to find either a meat or a seafood option, all right? Now, sticking to like lean protein sources is going to be the best way to go about it. But even if they don't have lean protein sources, i.e. things like chicken, turkey, shrimp, mahi-mahi, things like that, then just getting a protein source regardless is going to be what you're going to want to do there. All right. So find the entree section, pick a meat or a seafood dish, right? And then from there, most of the time it's coming with like two sides. So when you think about your sides, now you can think about, okay, well, let me pick, let me look at the side options, right? So you can go into the menu. They typically have a section there labeled sides, and you can see what sides they have as options. Right. And so best case scenario would be, hey, look at the sides that they have and pick vegetables or fruits or a combination of both as your sides. Right. So now I've gone to the entree section. I've picked either a meat or a seafood option there. And then I've also now picked either vegetables or fruits or a combination of both. Now, if you want to build an iCoach plate, which is what I always kind of reference in terms of building meals. Well, now what you would do is same thing, entree section, pick a meat or a seafood. Right. From there, you're going to basically probably you're going to have to double up on the color so that you can get your half plate color. And then the other side will be one of the carbohydrate sources there that they have. All right. So for example, let's say I went to a steakhouse and I got a quarter of my plate, right, would be a filet, right? I got a 6-ounce filet as my quarter plate protein. From there, let's say they had roasted potatoes. So I did roasted potatoes as my quarter plate carbohydrate. And then let's say they had steamed broccoli. And so I did half my plate. I did 2 sides of steamed broccoli to fill up half my plate with broccoli. So like, again, is that going to be higher calorie than you cooking that at home? Yeah, absolutely. Because they're using the butter and cooking oils and all of that. And even if you tell them to keep it light or not to use it, they're probably still going to, and they're probably not going to keep it light, right? This is where you could go to a steakhouse and, for example, you could get, let's say, a ribeye, a 12-ounce ribeye, and it was, if you search that on MyFitnessPal, it says 750 calories, but then the steakhouse actually has their nutrition facts and it says that it's 1,500 calories. And you're like, how in the heck is this ribeye twice as much calories as what MyFitnessPal says? Well, it's because they're literally using like 7 tablespoons of butter to make that ribeye. So this is what happens when you go out to eat, right? There's a lot more oils being used, butters being used, sauces being used. And yes, this is what makes it taste so much better, right? But this is also what adds all of these unnecessary calories to the mix. So that's an example there. Now, the other thing, that I want to kind of present here is that a lot of times when people go out to eat, they don't want to eat healthy. They want to enjoy whatever it is that they want to enjoy. So here's a way to improve your meal if that's the case, right? Let's say, for example, I wanted to go have pizza, right? Pizza inherently is probably not like the best quality of food. It's probably not like the healthiest thing for you. But again, going back to like that iCoach plate example, what you could do there is you could say, hey, I'm going to get pizza. I'm going to fill up half my plate with pizza. All right. Pizza is typically going to be carbs and protein. It's also going to have the fat in there, obviously, too. But if you get a pizza that has protein on it, let's say, get chicken sausage, right? My client was just texting me earlier this morning about how to log a butternut squash pizza with chicken sausage on it. So boom, there you go, right? But I could take my plate and I could look at my plate and say, hey, just like, instead of just getting pizza, I'm going to add color onto my plate here. So I'm going to add a vegetable to my plate to improve the overall quality of that meal. All right. So I still get to get the pizza, right? This is what I wanted to get. I'm not feeling restricted by any means, right? But I'm adding color to it. I'm adding vegetables to my meal rather than just blanking. And anytime that you can add color, you can add vegetables or fruits to your meal, you're increasing the amount of micronutrients that are in that meal, the amount of vitamins and minerals that are in that meal. You're also getting more fiber into that meal, right? And so ultimately what's happening is you're improving the overall quality of your nutrition, right, in that meal. So in that example, going back to the pizza, I could fill up, let's say I got whatever, a pepperoni pizza, right? Fill up half my plate with pepperoni pizza. Then let's say they had like roasted broccoli and cauliflower. Awesome. Let me order 2 sides of that so that I can fill up half my plate with roasted broccoli and cauliflower. So this is a very different meal, right? A full pepperoni pizza versus, like, if I'm looking at my plates here, if I have a plate that's just a full pepperoni pizza versus a plate that has half of that, right, being pepperoni pizza, and then half of that being roasted broccoli and cauliflower, man, like this meal right here is much better, right, than the meal with just the pizza. So that's a good way to think about, not feeling restricted when you go out to eat. Like, get whatever you want to get, but add the color to the meal, improve the micronutrient intake, increase the micronutrient intake of that meal, therefore improving the overall quality of that meal. I would say, probably the biggest struggle with eating out is that most people, they are not getting enough vegetables and fruits into that meal. Also, most of the time, people are not getting an adequate amount of protein into that meal, right? And so you're always going to want to think to yourself, hey, when I'm looking at my meal, how can I make sure that I'm getting in both color, vegetables or fruits or a combination of both, and that I'm getting protein into that meal? Also, if you can just, generally thinking about, hey, how could I build out an iCoach plate at this meal? Right. And pretty much any restaurant that you go to, you could build an iCoach plate, right? Quarter plate protein, quarter plate carbohydrates, half plate color. You could do that at pretty much every single restaurant that you go to. But again, it's not hard to eat healthy when you go out to eat. It's hard to make the healthy decision, right? We just have to kind of break through the fact that, hey, eating healthy does not mean that you have to just get chicken and broccoli at every meal. That is not necessarily the only decision that, or the only meal that you can have that qualifies as healthy, right? And so you've got to be able to give yourself options. You got to give yourself variety. But hopefully that kind of simplifies the approach in terms of eating out. And again, there's more restaurants now than ever before that have their nutrition facts. And so even though they're typically not 100% accurate, if you just will look at the restaurant, look at the menu, prior to going to the restaurant, search whatever restaurant you're going to nutrition facts on Google and see if they have a PDF or a calculator. That way you can see, hey, what am I getting into, right? What's kind of a ballpark number of how many calories these are consumed? I mean, a lot of these restaurants, they'll even put it on their menu, right? And that influences your decisions, right? I mean, if you're sitting here and you're going to get something and it's got 2,000 calories in it, well, you might opt to get the meal that has 1,000 calories in it, right? You're like, man, I didn't know that had 2,000 calories in it, right? I don't want to sit here and eat 2,000 calories in this meal. And again, it all just comes back to your goals and what you're working towards. But awareness precedes change. And if you don't have awareness around, hey, what's on the menu before I go to the restaurant, if you don't have awareness around, hey, how many calories are in this meal that I'm about to eat, well, then you don't have the awareness to make the positive decisions, right? And then from there, if you're working towards a goal like weight loss, well, then you're definitely going to be impacted by that. And so this is why I always try to encourage clients to if you have 21 meals in a week, you're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days, that's 21 days or 21 meals. 80% of the time, you should try to focus on cooking your own food so you know exactly what's going into it. And then from there, obviously, we want to have balance. We want to live live. We want to have date nights. We want to, have business meetings or whatever there, lunch meetings, lunch dinner, or dinner meetings, whatever. So, if you could eat out 4 times a week or less, that's a really good balance there for most people in terms of kind of that 80-20 lifestyle. So again, I have clients that travel 5 days a week, every week of the year, and that's not a realistic goal for them. So it just comes down to, again, trying to learn how to navigate restaurants as best as possible. So hopefully this was helpful. Let me know what questions you have here. Drop them in the comment section here below. And again, if you have any podcast topics you would like me to dive into, please let me know. I'm more than willing to record a podcast for you for your specific question. Again, all of these podcasts here lately have been coming from questions that clients have or people, members that are joining the private Facebook group have. And so, the question here, the question is always one of the questions to get into the group there is, hey, what's your number one struggle with nutrition? And so this particular person, it was eating out. And so this is kind of covering that section there in terms of eating out. So hopefully this was helpful. Appreciate your time listening to the podcast, watching the video on YouTube here, the Facebook group, or wherever you're at. And as always, let me know how I can serve you. Let me know how I can add value to your life. And I'm wishing you an amazing holiday season here as you're moving through. Remember, on average, Americans gain 15 pounds from October 31st to January 1st. So don't be another statistic. Remember that, depending upon what holidays you celebrate. Me personally, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. That's 6 days. It's not 6D days, right? So remember that, you are a product of what you do the majority of the time. You will not gain 15 pounds from 6 days of eating. But if you have 60 days of eating bad, right, then you absolutely could gain 15 pounds in those 60 days. So, don't be another statistic. Don't be the person that just gains 15 pounds only to lose it there with January 1st, with New Year, new me. Enjoy the holidays. Enjoy the time there with your family and friends and coworkers. That's what it's supposed to be about, right? Again, food is a big part of celebration and enjoying the holidays, especially if you're a foodie like me. But you absolutely can stay in line and be able to accomplish the goals that you have for yourself. Feel your best, look your best, perform your best without feeling like you have to sit there and just completely fall off your diet there and your training and your goals and have to start over there in the new year. Okay. Awesome. All right, guys, have an amazing day and we will chat here soon. Thanks. Bye.